all these criminal migrants that have been flooded in the country are going to be the first to get thrown out of here. I mean, you've seen...
He's so gross. Monstrous piece of shit.
Case after case, these heartbreaking tragedies, those ones are going to get found and deported first. And look at this Venezuelan gang. You have a Venezuelan gang that is taking over entire apartment buildings in Aurora, Colorado, and that's responsible, by the way, for some of the most heinous crimes that have happened all over the United States. The crime rate in Venezuela is down, I believe, a little bit over 60% over the last several years.
Are you trusting the official figures from the Venezuelan dictatorship?
Let's put it this way. If you're a dictator of a poor country with a high crime rate, wouldn't you send your criminals to our open border?
That wasn't my question.
Bro, he's verbatim saying Nazi shit. Yes, Stephen Miller from Palisades High School of Jewish background is an out and about Nazi. He has talked about, what was it, Turner Diaries as a big point of reference for his political ideology. He is literally a Jewish Nazi. He is an out and about white supremacist Nazi piece of shit. He also wrote most of Donald Trump's white nativist immigration policies. A Zionist, I mean, he probably, dude, honestly, Stephen Miller might be the one unique, like, anti-Israel Nazi. I don't know what his opinion is on Israel. I think he might hate Jews so much that he, like, hates Israel, low-key. Probably not, though. He probably is a Zionist, let's be real. But, like, he is straight up, I'm not even talking about, like, I'm talking straight up, he is Jewish of background, okay? And he absolutely 100% is a straight up Nazi. I'm not using it as a synonym for fascist. I'm saying he is literally Jewish Nicholas Fuentes, okay? That's what I'm saying. He wants a white ethno-state. Like, he is a Hitlerian-style Nazi. He was classified as a white nationalist by congressional leaders. The Congressional Hispanic Caucus condemned white nationalist Stephen Miller, calls for immediate removal from role as White House senior advisor. He is straight up a white supremacist. I actually don't know. I wonder if he's also anti-Semitic, because he likes Camp of the Saints, which I believe is definitely anti-Semitic. Like, all of his idols are straight up anti-Semitic. He probably is pro-Israel, though. Most people in the administration are, including some of the biggest anti-Semites. Like, I don't know if he's like a Jews-controlled media type anti-Semite, though, regardless of his Jewish heritage, Jewish background. Demonizing a Jewish staffer, Stephen Miller responds to white supremacist accusations. There's a deep vein of anti-Semitism that is running through today's Democratic Party, the White House senior advisor says in response to calls for his removal. Is Fuentes pro-Israel? No, Nicholas Fuentes is not pro-Israel. What are you guys talking about? No, he's both anti-Semitic and also anti-Israel. You're mistaking him with Richard Spencer. Richard Spencer is anti-Semitic and pro-Israel because he thinks it's an ideal ethno-state. He wants to do Israel, but for white people here in America. Nicholas Fuentes is not pro-Palestine, mind you. He's just anti-Israel. He just hates Jews, man. That's it.
Of the dictatorships, those are Maduro numbers.
I am believing that it is in the interest of a criminal dictator to let his criminals out of their jails and come to our country.
Do you have numbers, real numbers, not dictatorship numbers?
The Venezuelan gangs that have, you've seen the CCTV footage. I have a question. Who do you think? Answer me this.
My family is from Venezuela. Yes. I know very well the situation of Caracas and many other cities.
Right, tell me, who were the people with the high-powered rifles in the hallway of that apartment building? Who were they?
They were gangsters from Venezuela.
Right. No American community.
But I was asking to you about figures, numbers,
what I'm
facts.
saying to you is the facts are the dead bodies. The facts are...
You said that Caracas has a lowest crime rate than the USA.
The facts are the mutilated bodies. The facts are the people in the morgues that are dead.
I was asking you about Caracas and the numbers in...
What are you saying, dog? Remember what they said about COVID? Where they were like, everyone's actually dying of other reasons and then it's being attributed to COVID falsely? Which obviously wasn't the case. Now they're doing that fake shit that they launched against COVID when it was real against like Venezuelan migrants. Anytime somebody dies, it's a Venezuelan that killed them, actually. Oh, car crash? Migrant death. Migrant killed him. I mean, they literally did that with the Haitian dude who was a bus driver. They literally did that.
Are you trusting the numbers of the dictatorship?
I am trusting the fact that Kamala Harris is letting illegal immigrants into this country who are raping and murdering children.
I had been very respectful. Why are you yelling?
Do you know?
Yeah, I think we know why he's yelling, dog. You got a thick accent. you're a little too dark for his taste. He doesn't like being talked down to by a dude. Okay. I mean, I think he knows why he's yelling. God, he's such a piece of shit.
Who Jocelyn Nungary is. Do you know who she is?
Do you know how many people is experiencing violence in Caracas?
Who is she? Who is Laken Riley?
Why are you yelling again?
Because I'm yelling because children are being raped and murdered.
I was just asking for figures, and you have not replied to me about those figures.
Murdered. Do you know who Kayla Hamilton is?
Do you trust the numbers of Nicolas Maduro? I'm asking again.
I trust a Ruth.
If he keeps this going, he's going to run out of names because there's only 26 names he can point to. 26 total. If you ask these guys, Donald Trump very clearly says hundreds of thousands of Americans are being murdered every week by migrants. Hundreds of thousands. The real number is 24 in this past year. Or 26, sorry.
Ruthless dictator will empty his prisons and send their criminals to our country.
So you trust his numbers?
The most dangerous gang in Venezuela is
you trust Nicolas Maduro?
I trust that he does not want his criminals to be...
So you believe in his numbers?
I believe he's sending his criminals to our country.
And do you think that the crime rate in Venezuela have decreased?
Do you not believe the law enforcement reports of Venezuelan gangs in this country?
I was asking for the Venezuelan government figures, not the figures here.
Are Venezuelan gangs in this country or not? Yes or no?
What are the figures that you say to say that in Caracas the number is lower than in the USA?
Are Venezuelan gangs in this country or not?
So you don't have numbers.
You know who has numbers?
This is sick. I mean, this is awesome. Watching this sweaty, racist, white supremacist loser have a pathetic meltdown. Oh my God. Oh, delicious, dude. This is incredible. He's so close to saying slurs. Yes. Oh my God. I mean, you know, he said it after this interview, after he moved away from the microphone, he was just saying all the slurs. Okay.
The Department of Homeland Security. You can ask Mayorkas for numbers. You can ask the Director Ray for the numbers.
Sir,
I'm telling you.
You said that in Venezuela the crime rate is lower than the USA.
Yes, because
what are your numbers? That's my question.
Because the criminals are here now.
Those are Maduro's numbers.
I can tell you again that Border Patrol agents are encountering thousands
trust
of
Maduro numbers?
I trust the border agents in our country.
But they are not saying that Caracas has a lower crime rate.
Children are dead, and you are wasting my time.
No, I am not wasting your time. I'm asking for facts as a journalist.
Do you have any remorse for the dead children? Do you care?
He's literally saying, like, you're looking real Venezuelan right now, the way that he's making it seem like this guy came to America to rape the children now. You know what I mean? He's literally trying to put the blame on him. I wonder why Stephen Miller, who's refusing to answer a pretty basic question, is now attributing the deaths of children that he's made up in his mind, by the way, to this Hispanic reporter who just keeps asking him the same question over and over again.
Here's what's going to happen. Donald Trump is going to be elected president, and the migrant gangs are going to be sent home. Children's lives will be saved. And you know who will benefit the most? Are the working class Hispanic community.
I always bring up the 26 homicide statistics to my right-wing coworker, and he deflects it by saying that the statistics are underreported and don't account for sanctuary cities. How do I respond to him? He's lying. What do you mean it doesn't account for sanctuary cities? Dog, if an undocumented migrant commits a murder, they go to jail. There is no underreporting on murder. There is no secret conspiracy in the law enforcement community to hide the truth about murders. This is not like a parking ticket. This is a murder. They already lie about the misdemeanor crimes of like theft to begin with, and they say like, oh, it's underreported. And then you look at the actual, you actually look at the crime reports in general, specifically because these grocery stores are still going to report that a crime has taken place in an effort to also get money back on their insurance. They have to report it to the police. That's not how any of this works. There is no underreporting murder. When a person is murdered, cops don't go and look at that and go, let's put this down as a car crash. The sanctuary city shit, first result for 4 reasons why we should worry about crime data from the Marshall Project. The FBI's crime data is still incomplete and politicians are taking advantage of it. 6,097 agencies submitted no 2022 data. This was back in 2023, by the way. As far as FBI crime data goes, they still have local numbers that they report on, and crime is down on local numbers as well. Overall, the notion that these guys are not reporting murders is ridiculous. And the data that we're pointing to is not even the FBI crime data. The data that we're reporting to is a compilation of local crime rates from local police departments. They release their numbers regardless. The number that we're getting in terms of the criminal non-citizen statistics is from actions that undocumented migrants have engaged in across the board. Sanctuary city simply means if you're an undocumented migrant talking to a police officer because a crime took place in your neighborhood, you are not going to immediately be called, like the ICE is not going to immediately be called on you. That's it. Ironically enough, for those of you who don't know this, Sanctuary Cities actually was a police initiative. It was an initiative backed by the police. Do you want to know why it was an initiative backed by law enforcement? Because originally law enforcement was like, we have to instill trust in these communities because these people live here, okay? And they don't want to talk to cops, so we can't solve certain crimes when they happen in these marginalized communities because they think if we talk to them that we are automatically going to report it to ICE and they're going to get deported. Special Order 40 is a police mandate implemented in 1979 by the LAPD. Its police chief Daryl Gates and Los Angeles City Council preventing LAPD officers from questioning people for the sole purpose of determining their immigration status. The mandate was passed in an effort to encourage undocumented aliens to report crimes without intimidation. This is literally the underlying basis of sanctuary cities. Sanctuary cities is a concept that police chiefs have historically supported. Here it is. Police chiefs support sanctuary cities nationwide. A complicated legal battle is about to take place between the Trump administration and the nation's sanctuary cities. Why do police chiefs support sanctuary cities? In Tucson recently, an undocumented immigrant stopped and struggled with a man who was trying to steal a car that had children inside. The immigrant held the suspect until police could arrive, and the suspect was charged with auto theft, burglary, and kidnapping. In cities across the U.S., those who are undocumented frequently help police officers with reports, descriptions, and other important information police need, because in sanctuary cities, those immigrants feel secure. Why did the numbers explode at the beginning of Biden's presidency? Sorry if you answered that, just started listening. The numbers exploded. What do you think was going on before? Exploded to what, 60? Do you know how many homicides and manslaughter happens in the United States of America every year? Part of the reason why was because COVID ended, or at least the lockdowns ended. COVID didn't end, but the lockdowns ended. Do you understand like what percentage undocumented citizens account for? Like what the percentage of homicides and manslaughter undocumented migrants account for in the overall United States homicide numbers? It's not even 1%, you fucking idiot. It's 0.01%. You are talking about a movement of 0.011% to 0.012%. What a ridiculous fucking assessment, dude. Wow, the crime rate for homicide and manslaughter exploded from 3 to 60 and went back down to 25. Your math makes no sense. He had a good point. What is going on right now? There are more than 11,000 homicides and manslaughter cases in the United States of America every year, okay? I think it's even larger than that. I think it's literally around like 20,000, okay? If you're looking at it, in 2022, there was 21,156 murders. 62 out of the 21,162 murders was undocumented migrants. The numbers for each category markedly increased after 2020. Just wondering why they've increased. Like why it went from, in 2019, 16,000 to 22,000 in 2020. Again, COVID. There is a COVID spike in homicides and homicide only. When the lockdowns ended, when the lockdowns were reduced, the number of homicides went up. For the record, they are down. Okay, they are down now. I think your numbers are wrong. You might need to add another zero in there. 0.003%. I can't believe that we're still having this ridiculous conversation. I'm curious, do 20 homicides include only against U.S. citizens or both against undocumented and U.S. citizens? I'm willing to bet the overwhelming majority of those crimes are against undocumented citizens too. Not that it matters, but that's just how statistics work. The likelihood that if you're an undocumented migrant that you're going to kill another undocumented migrant is incredibly high. If you're black, the likelihood that you're going to kill another black person instead of a white person is incredibly high. Just like if you're white, the likelihood that you're going to kill another white person is incredibly high. That's just what it is, which is why black on black crime is actually a notoriously racist dog whistle, because the percentage of crime that black people commit against other black people is around 90%. But nobody ever talks about white on white crime, which is also around 90%. Turns out people do crimes to the people that are in their immediate vicinity. It's actually that simple. But in an otherwise white supremacist nation, people just say black on black crime and leave it at that. And then people plug that hole with their idiotic racist narratives.
It's just because it's bullshit. They sold out. They sold out everything that MAGA represented at one point, and everything that it was is no longer. It's just really sad. And the 2020 comment, it's like, wow, that's how pathetic it's gotten. He's admitting, he says, oh, I lost by a whisker. So what was the point? Like, what's the point of any of it?
This is a neo-Nazi. His name is Nicholas J. Fuentes, for those of you who don't know. For those of you fortunate enough not to know, I apologize for assaulting your sensibilities by showing you the #1 booger-eating neo-Nazi in the United States of America at this moment. Kanye's friend, he has dined with Donald Trump, as a matter of fact, alongside Kanye West. Some more notable moments in his career. I will forever say, outside of Kanye West, like giving him a national prominent platform, Kanye West for that, by the way, forever. There was another guy who was desperately carrying his career by consistently debating him and eating chicken and waffles with him, Boner Chelly. Every single person that is giving this motherfucker a lifeline deserves all the worst things, okay? Sometimes debate lords end up inadvertently, or maybe deliberately, who knows, giving prominent platforms to people because they really want to debate them. Sometimes they even end up going all the way and censoring people, calling them a Nazi in your own community, for example, maybe in your subreddit. Prominent liberal commentators. Well, not prominent, really. Yeah, this guy thinks Jewish people control the world and denies the Holocaust openly. If you interact with him in any way other than discuss, you are nihilistic or equally crazy and racist. I agree. If you got one Nazi at a table and 10 people, you got 11 Nazis at that table. All right, let's continue.
You lost in 2020? Seriously? I mean, what are we even doing anymore? Then you're a loser. Then you're a loser. You just lost. Then you lost to Joe Biden. You deserve to be charged. If he admits that he lost, then that actually vindicates the DOJ charge against him. Because the charge is that he knew he lost, but he lied to defraud the people. That's the DOJ's charge. So why did we do Stop the Steal? Why did anyone go to January 6th? Why is anyone sitting in jail? Why did anything bad happen to anybody? Why did everyone get censored? Why is everything bad that has happened to the people that are involved, why did that need to happen if you're just going to walk it all back and say, oh, I lost? Well, it would have been good to know that.
Yeah, because you guys are all dumbasses. That's why. Not only are you a Nazi, which automatically makes you a dumbass, but you're so stupid that you personally thought in your dumbass mind, I guess, that like Donald Trump gave a shit about anything beyond his own narcissistic tendencies. Like, what do you mean?
Before 1,600 people got charged, it would have been good to know that before I had all my money frozen, put on a no-fly list, banned from everything, lost all banking and payment processing. Would have been good to know that before I, in 2017, dedicated my life to this as an 18-year-old in college. Just feels like a big ripoff. And don't get me wrong, I'm an adult. It's not whining. I'm not complaining about it. I'm saying you can't say those things for that reason. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't regret anything, and we all make our choices. And look, it didn't work out. It is what it is. So I'm not mad saying I want those years back. I want those decisions back. I'm not saying that.
One of the funniest parts about like young Republicans is that they literally just like look 40 and 14 at the same time. Nick Fuentes is, of course, no different. I love that his issue isn't with reality. It's with Trump's admission of reality. Yeah, for sure. He's basically saying, why the would you admit that? You're making us look like fools. Because you are. Automatically. If you lock down, if you put your self out there, if you put your name out there, if you put your body out there for a guy like Donald Trump, yeah, of course you're going to get cooked. Of course you're going to look like an asshole because he's a an asshole. In the simplest terms, he's just like a very narcissistic guy.
It's just such a callous indifference to the sacrifices that his supporters made on his behalf. People are more willing, I think, to tolerate losing than a total betrayal. You know, it feels now like the whole thing. And it wasn't pointless, but that's how it feels at this point.
He's still, dude, this is actually cult. Like, this is just being in a cult. You're watching him bargain with the cult leader, being like, yeah, this shit was a sham the entire time. And he's still like, oh, it wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a waste. It's like, why wasn't it a waste? You're mad that he openly admitted that he lost, but you're still like, oh, but it's still not a mistake. Does Fuentes have any pull with the Republican fan base? Not really. I mean, he should have less than zero pull, but the fact that there's any pull at all is alarming. Okay, this is an out and about neo-Nazi, like straight up Holocaust denying neo-Nazi.
I know everyone considers me to be an extremist, but I'm the logical conclusion of Trumpism from 2016. I was the Trump generation. I turned 18 when he became president. I was one of the first guys, one of the first influencers in the post-Trump world. And I didn't leave the movement. The movement left me.
He ain't wrong. As a neo-Nazi, he ain't wrong. He is the logical conclusion of Trumpism. That part is not incorrect. The other part of this story that's obviously pretty funny is the recognition that he has as far as like, loving Donald Trump because he's like racist domestically, but also being a rabid anti-Semite. At least like Richard Spencer looks at Israel and goes, oh, I love Israel. You get to send the Jews over there. I want to have our own Israel, but for white people here. This neo-Nazi, on the other hand, is like, oh, I hate Israel. Jews control the media. Jews control every aspect of our lives. And then he's like pro-Trump beyond that. If there's one guy in American politics that is more pro-Israel than Joseph Robinette Brandon, it's Donald Trump. Now, Donald Trump doesn't really give a shit overall about anything beyond Donald Trump and what represents his interests, but enough money has been funneled into his campaign and enough doors he has opened for pro-Israeli sentiment that like he's never going to back away from that position. First Sheldon Adelson and now Miriam carrying on the torch of like permanent annexation of the fucking West Bank is so funny. They just like try to overlook that fact.